Right now, a specific narrative dominates the global headlines, that Iran is dealing heavy, unchecked blows to the US and Israel. Daily reports show drone attacks and missile strikes hitting Israeli territory. Because the footage is so visible and constant, it creates an impression of Iranian momentum. This visibility is a byproduct of Israeli democracy. International media crews move freely through the country, broadcasting every point of impact and every damaged building to a global audience in real time. Across the border in Iran, however, the flow of information is tightly controlled and often non-existent. Since March 1st, the state has enforced a total internet blackout. Citizens caught using Starlink or other unauthorized connections face 2-year prison sentences, effectively cutting the country off from the outside world. This internet blackout serves a specific function. By cutting the feed, Tehran prevents the world from seeing the extent of their internal infrastructure damage and recent military setbacks. On February 28th, a series of targeted strikes hit the IRGC's command centers. By the time the smoke cleared, much of the Iranian military senior leadership had been removed, creating a massive gap in their tactical coordination. Shortly after those strikes, a propaganda opportunity fell into Iran's lap. An American pilot was downed and stranded deep inside Iranian territory, alone and on foot. The government broadcast bounties on television and mobilized local tribesmen to find him. The goal was to capture the pilot and parade him before cameras to force a public confession. But the promised capture never happened. Elite U.S. forces flew straight into Iranian airspace, retrieved the stranded pilot, and escaped into the night. The Iranian military was unable to secure a single prisoner on their own ground. While the U.S. lost the physical aircraft during the rescue, they publicly dismissed the loss. For Washington, hardware is replaceable. Rescuing the personnel was the only metric of success. Failing to locate a single stranded pilot within their own borders highlights a significant lack of ground control that Tehran tries to obscure behind its media blackout. Beyond tactical failures, Tehran's primary economic lever is the threat to shut down the Strait of Hormuz. The plan was to force all commercial vessels into the northern Iranian Channel, where they would pay massive transit tolls or risk seizure. Geography, however, provided a loophole. Commercial ships have begun hugging the southern coastline of Oman, staying entirely within Omani waters to bypass the Iranian zone. These vessels are navigating as close to the Omani clefts as possible. This path keeps them outside the legal jurisdiction of Iranian patrols. This bypass leaves Tehran with a difficult choice. They must either launch unprovoked attacks against Omani territory or accept that their ability to collect tolls is disappearing. By utilizing the Omani side of the strait, the shipping industry has effectively neutralized Iran's primary source of regional economic leverage. These tactical and geographic failures lead to a larger risk for Tehran. They are now facing the possibility of their own blockade tactics being turned against them. If the U.S. Navy chooses to deploy its destroyers to the Persian Gulf, they could begin intercepting any vessel tied to Iranian exports, essentially walling off the country from the global market. Iran's state budget is anchored to these offshore terminals. A naval blockade targeting their tankers would sever the government's main source of hard currency, threatening the stability of the domestic economy. Responding to this tension, Donald Trump has issued a public ultimatum regarding the status of the Strait of Hormuz. He has set a 36-hour deadline. The demand is for the waterway to remain open, paired with a direct threat of military action against the nation if the blockade continues. Maintaining an illusion of victory through media blackouts only works until real-world leverage is exhausted. The next 36 hours will reveal if that illusion is about to be broken.